Alright, hi everyone, this is Mr. Barrios, and today we are going to be talking about taxonomy. Alright, so taxonomy, what is that? It is the study of classification. So it's how we put different organisms in different categories. So scientists classify living organisms for two main reasons. So first of all, it allows us to use a scientific name, and we use the scientific language of Latin instead of common names so that we all have one way of pronouncing a certain animal's or plant's name. Classification also allows scientists to determine the evolutionary relationships between different organisms. So if two organisms are in the same category, they're probably more related than two organisms in different categories. So in order to classify organisms, scientists place them into taxons, or different levels of classification. So family, genus, species, those are different taxons. Those are different levels of organization. So here, there are 7 different kingdoms, or taxons, that we most commonly use. So the most general group is called the kingdom group. Then we have phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So kingdom is going to be the most general group. So for example, kingdom Animalia, that's all the animals, from starfish all the way to bears. So they're the least similar. Species is just a specific type of organisms, okay? So they are going to be the most similar. So two different bears are more related than, for example, a bear and a snake. So each living organism is placed into different taxa based on their characteristics, okay? So if they're in the order, that's because they share something in common. So for example, order Carnivora, these are in this order because they are all carnivorous. They eat meat. Okay. So it goes from more general all the way to most similar. Two organisms in the same kingdom are least similar compared to two organisms in the same genus or species, which are most similar. So keep spots clean or family gets sick, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So we have a lot of animals, we have a lot of plants, and so we need scientific names for each one of those, for all living organisms. And so the scientific name of an organism is always made of two parts, the genus and the species names. So the genus is always capitalized and species is not, it's just lowercase. So for example, if I were to show you this picture here, and if I were to say, well, what is this? A lot of y'all would say it's a cat. But some students may say, oh, gato, or something else. So to avoid all this confusion, because there's different languages and there's different ways to say a certain animal's name, we use the Latin version of the name. And so the genus, again, the first letter is capitalized, and then the species. So this is called Felis catus. That is the scientific name. All right. And so there's 6 different kingdoms. And so all living things can be placed into one of the 6 kingdoms. So you have a lot of cells that are unicellular, meaning one cell. You have a lot of organisms that are multicellular, that have several cells. There's also the different types of cells. Some of them are prokaryote, no nucleus, and other of them are eukaryote, has nucleus. And also, how do they get their energy? So some organisms are autotrophic, they make their own energy, just like plants. And other organisms are heterotrophic, so they have to eat to obtain energy, so like animals. And so here, there's 3 different, so the six kingdoms. One of them is eubacteria. So eubacteria are unicellular, prokaryote, and autotrophic. So these are the normal bacteria. Whenever people talk about just germs and regular bacteria, they're talking about eubacteria. So they have no nucleus. Archaeobacteria are also unicellular, prokaryote, and autotrophic. So they're almost the same as eubacteria, except archaeobacteria are extreme bacteria. They live in the craziest parts of the world where there's almost no life. So these are the type of bacteria you'll find in glaciers, at the bottom of the sea where there's no light. They just live in areas where you wouldn't assume there to be life. And then Protista, these are the interesting group because they can be unicellular, they can also be multicellular. They are all eukaryotes, so they all have this nucleus, but they can be autotroph or they could be heterotroph. So algae, euglenas, a lot of things that live in the sea, they are this Protista group, which is a really interesting group. Alright, and three of the more common groups are fungi, plantae, and animalia. So here, fungi, they are multicellular, have a lot of cells. They are eukaryote, they have a nucleus, and they're also heterotrophic. So again, fungi, they are decomposers. They eat dead organisms. They recycle nutrients. So mushroom, mold, those are fungi. Plantae, so these are plants. They are multicellular, eukaryotic, but they are autotrophic. So they make their own food using the energy from the sun. So any type of trees, plants, these are autotrophic. And the last group, Animalia, so these are multicellular, eukaryotic, and heterotrophic. So here they have to eat their own food. So an examples are insects, birds, and humans. And so the main difference between a fungi and a Animalia is that Animalias do not have a cell wall, and fungi, they do have a cell wall. Alright, here's the top 10. See you later.